Oh, I can tell you lots about Charlie and Jay.
You know, it all started back in 1961, 62, that season.
Before Jay and Charlie, children's theater was thought of as Jay would say, dancing vegetables or fairy tales.
Well, of course I'm here. Where would I be?
But you'd be like resting. I mean, don't we get to a point where you say, I'm tired?
No.
You think of them as a unit because they were Jay and Charlie. You know, it was never like Jay, Charlie. It was Jay and Charlie, almost like a one word.
Two more different people you're not going to find.
They didn't always agree.
The combination of Jay Harnick and Charlie was a bit of a miracle.
It actually created this great friction that really produced all this amazing work.
My first impression of Charlie was very businesslike, very concerned about the bottom line.
Jay and I both loved doing musicals.
And we were terrified of Charlie.
He scared me a little bit. It was a little intimidating.
Charlie always showed up, A, to show support, and B, to give his 2 cents or 10 cents.
Very clear, very concise, brutal criticism.
They encouraged free discussion and argument. Everything was up for grabs.
I remember walking into Charlie's office after working with Theatreworks for a few years and going in to ask for a raise.
I was at the Wall Street Journal.
I got my start from Charlie and Jay in 1974 as an actor.
And when I got done, Charlie kind of just leaned back, he looked at me and he said, okay, but I have one really important question to ask.
If you needed a couple of more weeks on your unemployment insurance contract with the state, and you went to them and asked a favor, they'd hire you for those 2 weeks that you needed.
You've been to Italy a lot. Anne and I are going to visit Allison. Which one of these do I use?
I think the first time I applied, I didn't even get a letter back.
Charlie is a pussycat.
Everybody in New York had applied for that job.
I remember walking into Jay's office in the Schubert building years ago. It was like walking into a madman's mind.
With all sorts of scripts everywhere and set models and Jay is sitting there behind a desk, and I swear to God, he looked like Florin Ziegfeld.
I said, you know what, I'm going to give it another shot.
And then at the end, after you heard somebody sing, you hear this, yay!
And I sang whatever song I was singing, and I held my final note, which seemed to go on forever.
He was the most brilliantly manipulative man that I ever knew.
He was the most supportive and yet insightful presence.
First he said, be nice to each other. He said, if you can't be nice, be civil. If you can't be civil, be quiet.
They put me through an incredible interview.
Jay would give notes like nobody else ever gave notes.
And then, with perfect comic timing, he looked at me and he said, but do you have something with a sustained note?
You'd like to see my impression, my one-word impression of Boris Karloff. And I'm like, sure. And he went, turned away. Antipisto.
Big grin broke out in his face, and he was like, Tony, if you're not having fun, there's no reason to do it, is there?
They're both men of the theater.
I took a huge salary cut from the Wall Street Journal and joined Theatreworks USA.
Jay always used to say that we were ambassadors of culture. And I like to think that that will always continue, that there will always have to be ambassadors of culture.